I'm 34, male, and I've always been a pretty private person. I don't like making waves, and I believe in handling personal matters discreetly. But what happened with my wife, her family, and the lies she spun around me pushed me into a corner I couldn't escape without taking action. Looking back, I can't believe I let things get this far. It started with a family dinner at her parents' house, a monthly tradition. My wife, 32, has always been close to her family. They idolize her as the golden child, the one who married well and built her life from nothing. I never minded their comments much. They came from a place of ignorance, and I figured it wasn't worth correcting them. That night, though, something fell off. The conversation turned toward money, a touchy subject in her family. Her mother was going on about how proud she was of her daughter for pulling the family through hard times. Then my wife chimed in, looking directly at me, and said something that made my stomach drop. You know, being the breadwinner hasn't been easy, but it's worth it to keep us afloat. It's a lot of pressure, but I don't mind stepping up when needed. The room went silent. Her parents beamed at her with admiration. Her younger brother muttered, "Must be nice to have that kind of work ethic." I sat there, stunned, trying to process what I had just heard. Breadwinner? Pressure? She worked part-time at a boutique for fun, barely earning enough to cover her own shopping habits. I paid every single bill, mortgage, utilities, groceries, everything. The worst part? She said it with absolute conviction, like it was the truth. On the drive home, I confronted her. What the hell was that about? I asked, keeping my tone calm but firm. She looked at me like I was overreacting. What are you talking about? That whole breadwinner speech. You know it's a lie. I pay for everything. Why would you say that? She shrugged. It's just easier this way. My family doesn't need to know all the details. They wouldn't understand. Understand what? That you're lying to them? That you're taking credit for my hard work? Her tone turned defensive. It's not a big deal. They're proud of me, and it's not like it's hurting anyone. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She had no remorse, no sense of guilt. I dropped the conversation that night, but I couldn't let it go. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. She wasn't just lying to her family. She was erasing my contributions, my sacrifices, my role in our marriage. Things came to a head 2 weeks later. Her mother called me out of the blue, asking for help with some medical bills. Apparently, they were under the impression that my wife's success meant she could easily afford to lend them a few $1,000s. When I told her we couldn't help, she sounded confused. But she said, "You're doing so well." She said, "You've got savings, investments, all that." That was the last straw. I decided to dig deeper, and what I found left me reeling. My wife had been funneling money to her family for months, small amounts at first, but it added up. Thousands of dollars, all coming out of the joint account I funded. When I confronted her, she acted like it was no big deal. "They needed help," she said. "You'd have done the same if it were your family. You didn't even ask me." I shot back. "This isn't your money to give away. And why are you lying to them about being the breadwinner?" She rolled her eyes. "You're blowing this out of proportion. It's not like you're struggling." That's when I realized this wasn't just about her family or the money. It was about entitlement, manipulation, and complete disregard for our partnership. I decided to take control. First, I separated our finances. I opened a new account in my name, redirected my paycheck, and left just enough in the joint account to cover shared expenses. She noticed immediately. "What's this?" she asked, waving a notification from the bank in my face. "It's called boundaries," I said. "You clearly can't be trusted to manage our money." Her face turned red. "You're being ridiculous. You're punishing me for helping my family." "No, I'm protecting myself from your lies. You've been stealing from me, and I'm done letting it slide." She stormed out, probably to call her parents and spin another story about how I was controlling or stingy. I didn't care. I was done being the villain in her narrative. That wasn't the end of it, though. A few days later, I got a call from her father. He wanted to clear the air about the tension between us. What followed was an hour-long lecture about how I needed to support my wife and step up as a husband. Apparently, she had told them I was the one struggling financially and that she'd been carrying me for years. I couldn't take it anymore. I laid out the truth. The bills, the joint account, the thousands she'd siphoned off for them without my knowledge. There was a long pause on the other end of the line before he muttered, "I didn't realize." "No, you didn't," I said, "because she's been lying to all of you." That night, I told her I wanted a divorce. She laughed at first, like I was bluffing, but when I handed her the paperwork, her demeanor changed. "You can't be serious," she said. "Over this? You're willing to throw away our marriage because I helped my family?" "No," I said. "I'm ending it because you lied to me, disrespected me, and used me. This isn't a partnership, it's a scam." She begged, cried, even tried to turn it around on me, claiming I was overreacting and making her look bad. I didn't budge. I moved out that weekend and filed the papers. Here's where it gets interesting. During the divorce proceedings, her true financial situation came to light. She had racked up tens of thousands in credit card debt, none of which I knew about. She had been living beyond her means, relying on my income to keep up appearances while sinking deeper into a hole. Her family's medical bills? Paid with cash advances. Her designer wardrobe? Charged to the limit. In the end, the court sided with me. She got none of my savings, no spousal support, nothing. Her family turned on her when they realized she had been lying to them too. They blamed me at first, but once the truth came out, they distanced themselves from her entirely. I won't lie, it was a messy, painful process, but it was worth it. I've rebuilt my life, and I've learned to value honesty and mutual respect above all else. If there's one thing I've taken away from this experience, it's that you can't let entitlement and deceit go unchecked. Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. So, yeah, that's my story. If you've ever dealt with someone who thought they could walk all over you, trust me, it's never too late to push back. Subscribe if you want more stories about life's messy lessons. Who knows? Maybe next time, I'll share the story about how her brother tried to guilt trip me into buying him a car.